I am Jim and I was retired. In this week's video, I want to tackle how I approach retirement savings and emergency savings and why I don't have an emergency fund. Stay tuned. Now, there are a lot of people out there that recommend building up emergency savings funds. In fact, I've recommended that younger workers, when they're starting out, put something away in savings. It's important to get an employer match in a retirement savings account. It's important not to go into debt, and it's important to have savings. But I don't have a separate account for savings. There is no rainy day fund account that's just for that purpose. It's building up savings. Now, as you know, I use my bucket one as my emergency fund here in retirement. I've built up 3 years worth of expenses in my bucket one of my retirement portfolio. But there is no separate part of that that's an emergency savings fund. In fact, when I was working, I built up cash at the bank. It was simply taken for granted that we had enough cash on hand for an emergency car repair or a plumbing problem. Now, unfortunately, too many people do not have easy access to cash savings for such emergencies. And so, in turn, they dip into retirement savings instead. And in fact, Secure 2.0 added more options to do so. But should you? Hey, before I go any further though, please like and subscribe to this channel if you like entertaining ideas from a DIY retiree. I'm not a professional and I'm not selling you a course. I'm simply sharing my perspectives to help you prepare for your own DIY retirement. Now, earlier this week, I read this Wall Street Journal article that noted that more Americans are treating their 401ks like cash machines. The 401k is doing double duty as both a retirement account and a source of emergency funds for more Americans. A record share of 401k account holders took early withdrawals from their accounts in 2023 for financial emergencies, according to internal data from the Vanguard Group, aggregation of all of the retirement accounts that they administer. Overall, 3.6% of its plan participants did so, took emergency funds from their 401k last year, and that was up from 2.8% in 2022 and the pre-pandemic average of about 2%. Retirement plans such as the 401k are designed to keep Americans' nest eggs out of reach until later in life. In most cases, it's 59 and a half. There is a rule of 55 for your current employer. And it notes values in these accounts have risen substantially, in part because of the strong stock market and programs that automatically funnel money from people's paychecks into their 401k accounts. That's through the auto enrolling. These surging balances, however, have helped make more people comfortable dipping into their accounts when needed. Recent changes in federal law have loosened the rules governing when people can tap their retirement accounts for hardship-related reasons. For example, under a 2018 law, Congress did away with the requirement to take a 401k loan before a hardship distribution. About 13% of participants in the Vanguard study had a 401k loan outstanding at the end of 2023, and that was up from 12% the year before. As interest rates have risen, more investors have been turning to 401k loans to avoid higher cost debt, said Dave Stinnett, head of strategic retirement consulting at Vanguard. The law allows participants to borrow generally up to half of their balances or $50,000, whichever is less. Stinnett said many workers like the idea of borrowing from themselves, since that means they repay their account over time along with interest set up by the retirement plan. Of those that default, on the loans, though, from traditional pre-tax 401k accounts must pay income taxes and often a 10% penalty on the unpaid balance. So you have to watch that. It's so complicated that the employee benefits consultant Mercer has put out a detailed guide with all the changes in Secure 2.0, which they continue to update as the new regulations are issued to implement Secure 2.0. And I've looked through some of this. Again, it's part of the way I do my DIY retirement is to dig into these issues. And if you look at all the rules and regulations that allow penalty-free distributions for disaster relief and other hardships, now you'll notice that in many of these, it's optional depending upon your employer and plan sponsor. But just look at all the rules and regulations here on these disaster relief and hardship withdrawals. There's a whole new category of withdrawals for penalty-free distributions for personal emergencies, for instance. And Secure 2.0 even added ways to withdraw funds in the event of domestic abuse and, understandably, terminal illness. But look at the rules and regulations. And again, all of these are optional depending upon your employer and your plan sponsors. There's another whole section about pension-linked emergency savings accounts. And again, they have to be set up by your employer and the plan sponsor. But if you look at the rules and regulations here, they're carving out Roth contributions and setting them aside only a small amount into cash investments. I would want my Roth contributions to go into growth investments. I would want my savings to be in the local bank. I believe it'd be far easier for people to set up their own emergency savings accounts in their local bank if you want to do that. It would also be safely invested in cash and cash equivalents, and leave your Roth dollars invested in what Roth should be invested in, growth assets for the long haul. I do have a problem with borrowing against your future self for emergencies, disaster relief, or personal emergencies. If you're borrowing from yourself, even if you take a loan and pay it back over time, you're borrowing from your future self. And I would rather you set up ways that you have a cash cushion that will pay for emergencies, which you can replenish from your current self and save your retirement savings for retirement. Now, I'll conclude with my standard warning. I am not a financial planner. I'm not a tax preparer or an accountant. I have no initials after my name, so take these as entertaining ideas from one educated consumer to another. Always do your own due diligence and seek out a professional if you need one.